The convergence monitors had been screaming for 6 hours straight when First Observer Kael'thos finally admitted what every xenobiologist in the Galactic Council already knew. Something was catastrophically wrong, and the humans hadn't said a word about it. Not one transmission. Not a single distress beacon. Nothing. "Pull up Earth's comm traffic again," Kael'thos ordered, his 3 primary eyes fixed on the holographic display that dominated the observation deck. Around him, a dozen species, Vryn, Tukra, Mytharian, even a hulking Gordash, whose people rarely left their high-gravity worlds, stood in various states of agitation. The Mytharian, a crystallographer named Siverine, was literally vibrating, her translucent body shifting through anxious color patterns. "There is no comm traffic, First Observer," replied Jax, the station's AI, with what almost sounded like concern. "Earth's quantum networks went dark 47 minutes ago. No explanation. No warning protocols initiated. They just stopped. And that should have been impossible. The humans, those chaotic, verbose, aggressively social mammals, never shut up, ever. Their networks hummed with constant chatter. News feeds, social platforms, scientific exchanges, memes that no other species found remotely amusing. Endless arguments about food preparation methods. Silence from Earth was like silence from a star. It didn't happen unless something had gone very, very wrong. "The collapse," whispered Torvan, a Vryn military strategist whose scales had gone pale with stress. "It's reached them, the collapse." Even the name felt inadequate for what had torn through the galaxy over the past 72 hours. It had started at the outer rim in the Korvax expanse. One moment, 17 star systems were functioning normally. The next, they'd simply ceased to exist in any meaningful way, not destroyed. Which would have been almost understandable. No, something far stranger had happened. The systems remained physically present, but every form of energy within them had stopped. Stopped moving, stopped radiating, stopped existing in any functional state. Dead systems. Dead stars, somehow still visible but emanating nothing. Planets frozen in an instant, their cores silent, their magnetic fields collapsed, and it was spreading, a wave of entropic impossibility that consumed everything in its path at roughly 3 light-years per hour. The galaxy's greatest minds had thrown every theory at the problem. Dimensional intrusion, dark energy cascade, reality redrun failure, weaponized thermodynamics from some long-dead civilization. Nothing fit. Nothing explained how energy itself could just quit. 6 hours ago, the wave had reached the Sol system's outer boundary, and now, Earth was silent. "Get me visual," Kael'thos demanded, his secondary hearts hammering against his ribcage. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humanity had been under observation for centuries, ever since they'd achieved nuclear fission and made themselves impossible to ignore. They were supposed to be the galaxy's chaos incarnate. Unpredictable and dangerous, and somehow endearing in their reckless enthusiasm for everything. They weren't supposed to just vanish. The display shifted, showing Earth in real-time relay from their stealth satellites. The planet looked normal. Clouds swirled over oceans. City lights glittered across the night side. Auroras danced over the poles. Nothing appeared wrong. "Zoom to New York," Siverine suggested, her voice creating harmonic frequencies that rattled the deck plating. "If humanity's making a last stand anywhere, it would be there. Or Beijing. Or Geneva, where their unity government sits." Jax complied, the image spiraling down through atmosphere to street level in Manhattan. At first, everything looked fine. Traffic moving, people walking, the usual organized chaos of a human metropolitan center. But then Kael'thos noticed something that made his blood chill. Nobody was looking up. "Time-stamped this feed," he ordered sharply. "Current time, First Observer. 14-second relay delay." "That's impossible." Torvan moved closer to the display, his predatory instincts focused entirely on the scene below. "Look at their sky, look at it." Kael'thos looked. His stomach's turned over. The stars were wrong. Not gone, worse than gone. Where Earth's night sky should have shown the familiar constellations, the Milky Way's luminous band, the distant glow of neighboring galaxies, there was something else: geometric patterns, vast and intricate, stretching across the celestial sphere like someone had replaced reality's wallpaper with a schematic. And they were moving, shifting, reconfiguring with mathematical precision. "That's the collapse," Severine breathed. "That's what it looks like from inside the wave. Energy states reorganizing into something else. And the humans aren't reacting?" Kael'thos couldn't believe it. Humans noticed everything. They were pathologically curious, constantly staring at their sky, pointing cameras at every anomaly, arguing about what it meant. Where are their observatories, their astronomers, their amateur skywatchers who post blurry photos of every atmospheric phenomenon? Jax pulled up feeds from telescopes around the world. Keck, Arecibo's successor, the orbital arrays, the lunar far side installation humanity had built 20 years ago, all functioning normally, all recording the geometric chaos consuming their sky, all utterly ignored by every human on Earth. "Check their internet," Kael'thos ordered, feeling his tactical training kick in over his rising panic. "If they've seen this, they'll be talking about it." The displays filled with data, social media feeds, news sites, scientific journals, government channels. Kael'thos read through them with growing disbelief, his translation implants working overtime. Nothing, not one mention of the sky. Not one panicked post or emergency broadcast or conspiracy theory. The humans were talking about sports, politics, a new entertainment series, somebody's cat doing something amusing, business as usual. "First Observer," Jax interrupted. "I'm detecting an anomaly." "More anomalous than all of this?" Torvan gestured at the displays with one clawed hand. "Yes. I've been comparing Earth's current electromagnetic output to baseline, and it's identical, perfectly identically to measurements from 6 hours ago, before the collapse wave reached their system. Accounting for rotation, weather patterns, normal variation, everything matches to 17 decimal places." Kael'thos felt understanding bloom like poison in his mind. "It's a loop." "Explain," Severine demanded. "What we're seeing isn't happening now. It's a recording, a perfect playback of Earth's last normal moments, set on repeat. The planet's entire electromagnetic signature is stuck in a temporal eddy, replaying the same few hours over and over." While he trailed off, not wanting to finish the thought. "Well, what?" Torvan pressed. "While whatever's actually happening down there stays hidden from us." They stood in silence, watching the humans of 6 hours ago live their last normal moments in ignorant bliss, trapped in amber made of their own radio waves. On the displays, people laughed and argued and rushed to appointments that would never happen, all under a sky that was no longer truly there. "Recommend immediate evacuation of all council species from local space," Torvan said, his military instincts overthrowing everything else. "If Earth has fallen to the collapse, no." Kael'thos surprised himself with the force of his objection. "We don't leave, not yet. First Observer, the wave is still advancing. In another 6 hours, we'll either be dead or we'll understand what happened here." Kael'thos turned to face his crew, seeing his own fear reflected in their various physiologies. The humans went silent. Humanity never goes silent. They're the species that answered our first contact attempt by broadcasting "Never gonna give you up." In response, a prank they called it, a joke to lighten the mood. These are people who argued for 3 decades about whether a food item was a sandwich or not. They don't just accept cosmic horror quietly. "So what are you suggesting?" Severine asked. "I'm suggesting that the silence is the message." Kael'thos pulled up a timeline, overlaying it with the collapse's progression. Every other species we've monitored panicked when the wave approached. The Korvax sent desperate messages. The Threnody attempted mass evacuation. The Pelvath tried to fight it with quantum weapons. Everyone reacted according to their nature, and humanity's nature is to react. Jax completed the thought. To push back, to try anything, to at least shout defiance as they fall. Exactly. So why didn't they? On the screens, New York streets filled with rush hour traffic. The same rush hour that had happened 6 hours ago and would happen again and again until the loop failed or was broken. A couple argued about dinner plans. A street musician played saxophone for a handful of credits. A child pointed at a bird, delighted. All of it false. All of it past. All of it deliberately displayed for anyone watching. Hypothesis, Kael'thos said slowly, forming the idea even as he spoke it. The humans knew the collapse was coming. They had time to prepare, not much, but some. And instead of panicking or fleeing or fighting, they did something else, something that required complete communications blackout and this elaborate electromagnetic decoy. That's insane, Torvan objected. What could they possibly do against a phenomenon that's consumed half the galaxy? We've thrown our best science at this and achieved nothing. Our best science, Severine said softly, her colors shifting to contemplative purple. Not theirs. And human science is different. It was true. Humanity's approach to physics had always been slightly off-axis from the rest of the galaxy. Not wrong, but askew. Like they were looking at the same problems from a weird angle. They developed nuclear fusion through a completely different mathematical framework than the Vryn had, achieved quantum computing via paths the Netherians hadn't considered, and their theoretical physics papers were equal parts frightened and maddening to peer review. They're trying something, Kael'thos decided, and they don't want us to see it or interfere with it. Or warn them it won't work, Torvan added grimly. Maybe. Kael'thos studied the Earth below, that small blue world that had produced the galaxy's strangest success story. But there's another option we haven't considered, which is, he smiled, though the expression didn't translate well across species. What if it's already worked? Before anyone could respond, the displays went white, not blank white. Pure, searing luminescence that somehow didn't hurt to look at but filled every sensor. Every spectrum, every detection method the observation station possessed. For exactly 3 seconds, the universe became nothing but light. Then it snapped back, and everything was different. Status report, Kael'thos shouted, his equilibrium shot, his sensory organs struggling to recalibrate. Around him, the crew scrambled to their stations, various appendages flying across controls. The collapse wave, Jax started, then stopped. First Observer, the collapse wave is gone. Define gone. I mean, it no longer exists. Sensors show no trace of the entropic field anywhere in local space. The wave has vanished. Completely. Torvan pulled up stellar cartography with shaking claws. The affected systems. Look at the affected systems. The dead zones, hundreds of star systems that had been consumed over the past 72 hours, were lighting up. Not slowly, not gradually, but all at once, as if someone had flipped a switch and told energy it was allowed to move again. Stars burned. Planets rotated. Electromagnetic fields hummed back into existence. This is impossible, Severine whispered, her entire body flickering with shock white. You can't just reverse entropy on a galactic scale. The energy requirements alone. Incoming transmission from Earth, Jax interrupted. It's audio only. Shall I play it? Kael'thos didn't trust his voice, so he just nodded. Static filled the observation deck, then a very human voice, female, with that peculiar accent that came from Earth's North American continent. She sounded tired, amused, and maybe just a little bit smug. Hey there, galactic neighbors. This is Director Yuki Chen of the Terran Emergency Response Coalition. Sorry for the radio silence. We've been a bit busy, saving the universe. You're welcome, by the way. Torvan made a sound like a kettle boiling over. They're joking. The galaxy nearly ended, and they're joking. Shh, Kael'thos hissed, desperate to hear the rest. I'm sure you've got questions, Director Chen continued, and we'll answer them all, promise. But first, quick summary. Remember how we've been really weird about letting anyone examine our quantum computers, and how our theoretical physicists kept publishing papers about energy state manipulation that made absolutely no sense to anyone else? Yeah, turns out there was a reason for that. A pause, the sound of someone taking a drink of something, ice clinking in a glass. About 400 years ago, way before first contact, a human mathematician named Isabella Kowalski developed a theoretical framework she called inverse thermodynamics. Everyone thought she was brilliant, but wrong, because her math suggested you could reverse entropy if you created a stable field of negative probability space. Impossible, right? Except not impossible. Just really, really difficult. Kael'thos felt his secondary hearts skip beats. Negative probability space. That wasn't just theoretical. That was forbidden by most species' understanding of reality. We've been working on it ever since, Chen went on, sounding almost conversational now, like she was explaining a hobby project rather than cosmic-scale intervention. Building infrastructure, running simulations, developing the technology in secret because, and I mean this with all due respect to our galactic friends, we knew if we told anyone, you'd either try to stop us or help us, and both options would have slowed us down. Humans work best when we're left alone to do stupid, dangerous things that definitely shouldn't work. Severine let out a harmonic laugh that resonated through the deck plating. They built a weapon against entropy. Those insane mammals built a weapon against the heat death of the universe and kept it secret for 4 centuries. Not a weapon, Chen corrected, as if she could hear them, which Kael'thos realized with a chill she probably could. Humans bugged everything. A reset button. See, when we detected the collapse approaching, we knew immediately what it was because Kowalski's theories predicted it might happen eventually. A cascade failure in reality's energy state stability. Self-propagating and self-sustaining. Absolutely unstoppable by conventional means. The transmission crackled slightly, and Kael'thos heard voices in the background, urgent but controlled, coordinating something massive. So we activated the infrastructure, Chen said simply. Every quantum computer on Earth, Luna, Mars, the Belt colonies, all of them networked together and running Kowalski's equations in reverse. We created a bubble of negative probability space around our entire solar system, effectively telling the universe, actually, no, the collapse doesn't happen here. And then we pushed. Pushed? Kael'thos found himself speaking to the recording. Pushed what? As if answering him, Chen continued. We pushed the bubble outward at faster than light speeds. Yeah, we know. FTL is impossible. Except it's not when you're operating in probability negative space, where physics takes suggestions rather than orders. The bubble expanded through the collapse wave, and everywhere it touched, reality remembered how to work properly. Energy remembered it was supposed to move. Entropy remembered it had a job to do. We basically turned it off and on again, another voice chimed in from the background. Male, with an accent Kael'thos couldn't place. Classic troubleshooting. Chen laughed. Actually laughed. Thanks, Dimitri. Anyway, the collapse is neutralized. The affected systems are recovering, should be back to normal function within a few hours. We're monitoring everything from here and will assist with any restoration efforts needed. And before anyone asks, yes, we're sharing the technology now. No more secrets. Well, fewer secrets. Some secrets. We're still humans after all. The transmission shifted in quality, becoming more formal. On behalf of Earth and her colonies, the Terran Emergency Response Coalition extends greetings to all Council species. We apologize for the communications blackout, but the energy requirements for the infrastructure made it necessary to shut down all non-essential systems. We also apologize for not warning anyone, but honestly, we weren't 100% sure it would work, and we didn't want everyone's last memories of humanity to be us promising to save the galaxy, and then catastrophically failing. Better to succeed quietly than fail loudly, we figured. The electromagnetic loop you were observing was a precautionary measure, she added. If the infrastructure had failed, we wanted the last thing broadcast from Earth to be normal. People living their lives. Not panic, not despair. Just humans being human. Seemed like a better legacy. Kael'thos felt something unusual happening to his tear ducts. Across the observation deck, even Torvan had gone very still. His scales settling into colors of respect. We'll be transmitting full technical data on Kowalski inverse thermodynamics within the hour, Chen concluded. We're also inviting representatives from all council species to Earth for a summit. We've got a lot to discuss, including why we kept this secret and how we can prevent similar cascades in the future. Plus, we figured you'd want to yell at us in person, which is fair. We'd want to yell at us too. A pause, then her voice softened slightly. To everyone who lost people in the initial collapse zones before we could stop it. We're sorry. We worked as fast as we could, but we couldn't save everyone. We'll be offering whatever support and resources we can to help with recovery and mourning. And if you need someone to be angry at, well, humans are pretty good at absorbing anger. We've had a lot of practice. The transmission started to wind down, but Chen added one more thing. Oh, and to First Observer Kael'thos on Station 7. Yes, we know you've been watching us, and no, we don't mind. Your stealth satellites are cute. But maybe next time you want to observe humanity, just ask. We'd happily show you around. We've got this really good pizza place in Naples you have to try, and I think you'd find our particle accelerators fascinating. Bring Severine, our xenobiology team has been dying to meet a Metherian. The transmission ended with a click and a burst of what sounded like Earth music, something with guitars and drums, and a rhythm that made Kael'thos want to move in ways his species absolutely could not. For a long moment, nobody on the observation deck spoke. They just stared at Earth, that impossible little world, where lights were coming back on and the sky was returning to normal, and probably, somewhere down there, Director Yuki Chen was enjoying a well-deserved drink while her species casually explained how they'd saved the galaxy before lunch. They reversed entropy, Torvan finally said, his voice small. They looked at the universe ending and said no thank you and just fixed it. While telling jokes, Severine added, her colors shifting to something like affectionate exasperation. They saved us while cracking jokes and apologizing for not dying more publicly. Kael'thos pulled up Earth's communications networks again. They were coming back online now, no more loop, just live transmissions. He watched as humans emerged from whatever bunkers or shielded facilities they'd been using during the infrastructure activation. Blinking in sunlight, checking their devices, immediately starting to argue about what had happened and whether the official story was true and what it all meant. Someone had already made a meme about it. Something involving a person pressing a button labeled "Fix the Universe" with text that read "Humanity at 3 a.m." with no instructions. First Observer, Jack said quietly. I'm receiving communication requests from the Council. They're demanding explanations, technical briefings, security assessments. Admiral Throck wants to know if Earth poses a threat. Counselor Vex is calling for sanctions on authorized reality manipulation. Science Director Pell is requesting immediate access to human research facilities. Tell them. Kael'thos considered his words carefully, watching as on the screens below, a human child pointed at the sky, the normal sky now, with regular stars and familiar constellations, and smiled with relief. Tell them that Earth saved us. Tell them humanity looked at impossible odds and laughed and did the work anyway, without asking for permission or help or recognition. Tell them that if they want to understand humans, they need to understand them. He paused, then added, and tell them I'm accepting Director Chen's invitation to visit Earth. I want to try this pizza, and I have about 4,000 questions about how they kept a galaxy-saving technology secret for 400 years. They kept it secret the same way they do everything, Severine said, her harmonic voice warm with something like admiration. By being completely themselves, so chaotic and loud and distractingly enthusiastic about everything that nobody noticed them quietly solving the universe's biggest problems in the background. Torvan pulled up the data Chen had promised. Already streaming from Earth, pages and pages of mathematics that would take decades to fully understand, all of it being freely shared with every species in the galaxy. They're going to change everything, he said softly. This technology, these principles, reality manipulation on this scale, they already changed everything, Kael'thos interrupted. The moment they decided the galaxy was worth saving without being asked, without demanding payment or recognition, without even telling us they were doing it. They just did it. Because it needed doing. On Earth, the sun was rising over the Pacific. Kael'thos watched waves crash against coastlines, watched cities wake up, watched a species that had just performed the most sophisticated feat of physics in galactic history go about their normal day, making coffee, walking dogs, arguing about transportation, being magnificently, frustratingly, beautifully human. Set course for Earth, he ordered, and someone find me a guide to human social customs. I have a feeling we're going to need it. As the observation station began maneuvering toward that small blue planet, Kael'thos allowed himself a smile. The galaxy had collapsed in one night, and Earth had stayed silent, not because they were gone, not because they were hiding, but because they were busy doing what humans did best, the impossible, and they'd probably cracked jokes about it the entire time.